Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, good evening. How y'all doing tonight? Well, I wanted to bring you this little case information. It's a little update. This was something that we could see coming because they needed a change of venue in this case. Of course, the community, they're hurt. It's a small community. A lot of people are connected, and I don't want to say they're prejudicial, but this is a community that's hurt. There are 4 victims in this Idaho 4 murder case, and people want to see someone that is going to be responsible, held accountable for what happened to the 4 victims in this case. So, I want to give you a case update. There's going to be a new venue and a new judge. The change of venue was finally granted. Again, I don't know why we had to do the survey. I don't know why they couldn't just accept that there was excessive media coverage across the country. Everywhere people are talking about this heinous quadruple murder of 4 college students. And people want to know who did it. And they want to see this case prosecuted. They want to see the evidence. They want to hear the evidence. They want to hear the testimony. They want to know, what do people know? And they want to see what led to Bryan Kohberger. How is he connected to these 4 victims? And how allegedly he killed the Idaho 4. So, my article is from CNN.com. It's dated September 9th, 2024. It's by Sherry Mossberg and Eric Levinson. It's titled Judge Moves Trial of Idaho Student Killing Suspect Bryan Kohberger Due to Presumed Prejudice. This is annoying me so much, you guys. I just spilled water right here on my shirt, so it's almost dry. I just had to get a drink of water from my last video, so I apologize for that. Okay. An Idaho judge ruled Monday to move the upcoming murder trial of Bryan Kohberger, the man charged with killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, due to concerns that the local community in Moscow is prejudiced against him. So, what they're saying is, overall, they do not know that they can guarantee a fair trial, an impartial jury, because so many people have read the news, they have seen the news, they have formed an opinion, and it is against Bryan Kohberger. It's saying that they feel that he is guilty prior to a trial, prior to any evidence being presented, any witnesses giving their testimony. They have already formed an opinion that he is guilty. So, because of that, because the news, the media have saturated the deaths of these 4 victims, and rightfully so, people want to know what happened to them, who did this, why did this happen to them, when did it happen, where did it happen. They want to know the evidence, they want details, right? So, because it's been so heavily in the news media and people have formed a decision, a verdict in their mind, they're not going to have the trial in Moscow where the murders were, where the victims live. They're going to try to move this trial to a different county, a different district, and that's going to require that a new judge is appointed. Now, that all hasn't happened. There's going to be a process for the new judge and venue to be selected, and the new judge will be appointed. It will not be done by Judge John Judge, Triple J's. it's going to be appointed in a different way. He will not have any involvement in that part. Okay. And as I've said before, there were all kind of, I don't want to say issues, but there are needs when you have coverage in a big case. This is a huge case, probably one of the biggest cases coming out of the state of Idaho. So you have to consider, are you going to have enough staff? Do you have proper security? Do you have housing, hotels? How is the jury going to be protected? What area is this trial going to be in? What type of community is it? What kind of jury pool is it? How many people? Have they been saturated? Do they have an opinion already? Have they already formed a verdict in their mind? Are they going to be prejudicial to and against Bryan Kohberger, not allowing him a fair trial? Um, that balance of scales is very hard, right? It's going to be very hard in in the state of Idaho, but in these smaller communities, right? Because people are reading, people are watching, people are following it, people know other people. It's a very small circle in certain areas. So you're going to have those challenges, but they do feel possibly that Boise would be the best place. It's one of the largest cities. I think it is the largest city in Idaho. And then they're going to have those resources that are needed, the protection, the safety, the larger courtrooms, staff, etc., hotels, restaurants. People are going to descend on this area. I'm even thinking about visiting the area during the trial. I don't know. I have to see because my schedule is already extremely packed. It's extremely busy. So I don't know. I don't know with the dates for the trial, and that may change. But tentatively, the trial is supposed to be in June of 2025. Wait a minute, 2025. I can't even believe I'm saying this. It's so far off. Wow. It's going to be like 2.5 years later, but the trial is set for next summer. So I'm not sure, and I don't even know if it's going to happen then because now they're going to have to go with the court in that schedule, whatever court is assigned, and then their schedule. And do they have any other trials that are coming up, the large trials like this, large cases and things like that? So that's all going to depend to schedule out that far in that court docket. So we'll see. But let's get with the article, okay? An Idaho judge ruled Monday to move the upcoming murder trial of Bryan Kohberger, the man charged with killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, due to concerns that the local community in Moscow is prejudiced against him. Considering the undisputed evidence presented by the defense, the extreme nature of the news coverage in this case, and the smaller population in Lake Talk County, the defense has met the rather low standard of demonstrating reasonable likelihood. That's the standard, is pretty low. Is there some reasonable likelihood that there's going to be something prejudicial to the defendant? That would be Bryan Kohberger. So that prejudicial news coverage will compromise a fair trial in Lake Talk County, the judge wrote in the order granting the change. So Judge, he's going to be off this case. Now, are we going to see progress? How are things going to be handled going forward with the new judge? Is the new judge going to pretty much make the defense and the prosecution work out issues, kind of come to an agreement, settle, so they can't appeal later on issues that they don't agree on, right? There's been a lot of things that have taken up a lot of time in the trial. The alibi has been beaten down. This issue, the change of venue issue, they knew from the onset. This county here, Lake Talk County, they couldn't have no trial there. It's not large enough. They can't handle a case this big. But they went on, and I think this has been going on at least a year. I mean, they've been seeking this change of venue. I don't know. I just was getting tired of talking about it. Like, to me, just give me the end result. Either they're going to change it or not. Like, make a decision. But this has also allowed the case to kind of drag on longer, kind of quiet down all of the things that were coming out because it's just gone on and on. And now we're coming up against 2 years. 2 years No trial yet, which is kind of typical. I mean, 2.5 years is going to be pushing it, but in a case this large, multiple victims, it does happen. And that's why you don't have a speedy trial. There's no way that you can prepare for trial that fast. Okay. So anyway, let's move forward. Let's finish this article. Judge John Judge sided with the defense in Monday's change of venue ruling. The court has spent many months carefully considering the legal and logistical concerns with a trial of this length and magnitude, carefully reading each submission, listening to each expert, and evaluating each party's position, he wrote. Based upon the totality of the factors, defendant's motion for change of venue is granted. Now, I'll pause here for a second because I do want to say something. A lot of people are saying, oh, that's a victory for Bryan Kohberger. Oh, this is so good for Bryan Kohberger. You don't know that. And the reason you can't assess that because you don't know what court is going to, you don't know what judge is assigned. Every judge has, courtroom etiquette, how they want things handled, how they want to have cases prepared, what time, they want the process to run orderly and be respectful of the court's time. So some of the things will be handled behind the scenes before court even starts. So you really don't know if this is going to favor Bryan Kohberger. Now, one can think and one can say, well, it's moving out of Latah County away from Moscow, Idaho, and it's going to go, for example, to Boise, Idaho. But that does not mean that the mindset of the jurors has changed. It doesn't mean that they have not received similar distribution of news, similar distribution of writings, news articles. It's all across the country. If you open up the news, if you read the news, if you go online, it's saturated for the last 2 years. So maybe the close connection, if they're moving it away from Moscow, for example, to another city, a larger city that can handle all of the needs and have those resources, you're going to have a different jury pool, but it doesn't mean they have any different information because a lot of information has been pushed through the media, through media outlets, through the news. So whether you're in Idaho, whether you're in California, Florida, Texas, New York, wherever, everybody's reading the same information. And these are reputable news organizations. So I don't know if the mindset is going to be very different, but they may not have decided a verdict. Maybe some people are still open to hearing the testimony, following the testimony, hearing the witnesses, following the science, looking through all of the exhibits, and also being critical thinkers. You need people to not just take the law and apply the law. You need to think when you're hearing testimony, because you can have one witness that may be an expert, and then you can have an opposing witness that's also an expert in the same field. So how do you differentiate what makes sense, what seems reasonable? Because they're not going to agree. That's why they're opposing. They're opposing arguments there. So we need critical thinkers that can apply really the science, the evidence, the testimony. If there's video, like if they try to show you an overlay of, for example, this 2000 whatever Elantra, and then they show you a picture of Bryan Kohberger's car. Do they look similar? Are they similar? Are they the same? What direction was the car going? What day was that? What time was that? We need details, right? So all of that is going to matter. And is the person savvy? Are they smart? Are they listening? Are they following? Are they taking notes? Are they putting forth the effort to come and assess all of the information, all of the facts, all of the details, the documents, the exhibits, the evidence, the testimony, the expert witnesses, all of that has to be considered, okay? So let's finish this article up. Judge accepted the defense's survey results showing that locals may not be impartial in the case. He also highlighted logistical issues with holding the trial in Latah County, noting there are not enough county sheriff deputies, court clerks, or courthouse space to accommodate such a big trial. And see, this is where I take issue with Judge. You knew that. You knew that from the beginning. You knew they did not have the resources. They did not have the ability to handle such a large case. People are going to want to be there. They want it to be televised. People are going to converge in this area. You know, do you have the resources? Do you have the hotels, the restaurants, the whole, all of these news outlets? People are going to be there day in and day out covering this trial. This is as big as or bigger than the O.J. Simpson trial. Whether you want to believe it or not, we're going to fast forward 30 years about, and this is the biggest trial of the century. This Bryan Kohberger case is going to be explosive. I think it's going to demonstrate police protocol, what should have happened, what did happen, and what didn't happen. And there are a lot of fallacies there. I'm not going to even get into it today. I do have 3 videos that are coming up about the Idaho 4. I'm going to take the couple, Xana and Ethan, and then I'm going to take best friends, Maddie and Kaylee, and I'm going to talk more about them each and what I have said. I've already told you my opinion on this case, who could have possibly killed Idaho 4. I've already had those videos in the series. Check it out. I have a whole playlist on YouTube, many videos. But I want to go into more detail, and then I want to talk about something that was said on a recording from an eyewitness that said that there were 5 people in the backyard at the Idaho 4 house the morning of the murders, about 8:15, 8:30 a.m. And I want to know more about that. I want to know the roommate that was there and also who the other people were. So I'm going to go into that more and just kind of talk about that a little bit more. So that's 3 separate videos that I have already set up. I just haven't done them because, of course, we've had this mass shooting in Georgia, and I'm kind of unpacking the mass shooting with Cole Gray and, his father, Colin Gray's involvement, and just putting a foundation out there to kind of discuss what I feel is similar to Ethan Crumbley's mass shooting at Oxford High School. So I'm working on a little small collection with that case. That is a new case. That mass shooting just happened. I believe it was September the 4th. So just a few days ago, less than a week ago. So with all of that being said, let's wrap this article up. So I am here. Thus, the interest of justice requires that the trial be moved to a venue with the resources, both in terms of personnel and space, necessary to effectively and efficiently handle a trial of this magnitude and length, so that the parties and the court can focus on the case and not on peripheral issues, he wrote. The ruling is part of the long and winding road since 4 University of Idaho students, we got Kaylee Goncalves, Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, and Madison Mogen, were fatally stabbed in the overnight hours of November 13, 2022, at home just off the school's main campus in Moscow. Kohberger, a Washington State University graduate student in criminology, was arrested in the killings on December 30th, 2022, in his home state of Pennsylvania. Investigators connected him to a white vehicle seen near the killings DNA recovered from a tan leather knife sheath found in the home and his cell phone location data, according to court documents. A not guilty plea was entered on his behalf last year, and his attorneys have indicated he intends to present an alibi as part of his defense. Prosecutors have said they will seek the death penalty. The progression of the case has been slowed by a series of pre-trial motions and hearings related to the death penalty, a gag order, the use of investigative genetic genealogy, and Kohberger's proposed alibi. Several of the issues have still not been resolved. The trial is expected to begin in June of 2025 and last about 3 months. The family of Kaylee Goncalves, which has previously criticized delays in the case, released a statement Monday saying it was incredibly disappointed by the ruling. Now, let me just pause and say this before I wrap this up. I think it's hard for the families, more particularly the families that want to be involved, want to go to court, want to watch the proceedings. If they have to commute and transport themselves back and forth daily for the trial, and they are anticipating, I thought the trial would last maybe about 6 weeks, 6 to 10 weeks. They are anticipating, I believe they said like 90 days, 3 months. So they have a lot of witnesses, a lot of exhibits, a lot of material to go through. I think that is going to be the difficult part for the families because they're having to transplant to a different area. And that's not Moscow, right? That's inconvenient. It's going to cost money. So I can understand. I apologize for that. I can understand that frustration if that's something that the families are considering, because that's costly, and you're not going to be in your comfort of being at home. So, um, that's hard, and I'm sure they may not want to watch it televised. They may want to be in person to represent their child. So I can understand that. That is part, I'm sure, consideration when you have a change of venue, but I believe most importantly, you have to uphold the defendant's right, a right to a fair trial first. And that's why I had Lady Justice up there. You're blind, you can't see, you want to have a balanced approach. So you do consider the family, but overall, you also have to consider you do not want to violate his right to a fair trial. Okay, so let's continue. If the judge knew Latah County could not handle this trial for safety reasons, not enough court clerks, logistics, and lacking space, why did we waste over a year in a county he knew was not going to handle the trial? The family said. The points he mentioned didn't all of a sudden jump up and bite him in the rear. We have always felt that a fair and impartial jury could be found in Latah County and still believe that is where the trial deserves to be held to help the community heal, the family added. Um, the families, they have a right to their feelings. The judge, is not for him to decide that, hey, we need to change the venue. That is brought by motion from, typically it's the defense. It's not going to be the prosecutor because they're prosecuting the case, they're handling the case, and in all intents and purposes, all of their resources are right in the county where they are. So they're not going to ask for a change of venue. The defense would have to ask for a change of venue and also demonstrate like the standard is low. But is it reasonable that this person is going to have a fair trial? Is it going to be prejudicial to them to have it in that area? And it happens in large cases. It happens in cases where there's notoriety, where there is like a lot of media coverage, and also where there's information leaks that are getting out. And all of that happened in this case. Huge case, a lot of leakage of information, case facts, case information, details, all of that. Um, you have to look to justice first. So again, you have the balanced approach. You are considering the families, what they would have to go through, but you also have to uphold the rights of a defendant, and they have a right to a fair trial. That's very important. You don't want to just convict someone, but you want to make sure that you're convicting them the right way by bringing a case, by prosecuting them with evidence, with facts, with video, documenting what happened, putting on witnesses, having science to support whatever you're accusing them of. Okay, so let's continue. We have always felt that a fair and impartial jury could be found in Lake Talk County and still believe that is where the trial deserves to be held to help the community heal, the family added. Well, the sad part about all of this is not helping the community heal. The family is not going to heal from the conviction of the assailant or the assailants. It takes time. Healing takes time. Um, you change, you develop more, you learn more, you grow more, you expand, you experience extreme suffering, hardship. This is something you can't imagine. So it takes time for the change, for the healing. It's a process. It really is. And maybe it's a good thing that the trial won't be there, that this is not going to stir up all these emotions, all of the people, that they have to give a verdict, they have to have an opinion. And what if you disagree? What if a family member, your job, your coworker, the priest, etc., disagrees with your opinion? And they don't agree with what the verdict is because you made it. Are you going to get backlash? Are you going to be targeted? Like, you have to protect jurors from things like that. And something that was really surprising is some statements that I saw online by Steve Goncalves, Kaylee's father. I hope that he does not continue to make future statements about some of the behaviors and actions that they're taking. I understand the grief. I've been there. I really hope that they can allow the process to go forth without the input so much and opinion so much. Not that you can't have it, but I believe that um, is interfering with justice, is interfering with the criminal process. Some may feel it's obstructing justice. So, what can you do? Let's wrap it up. The defense has asked that the trial be moved to Boise, the capital and largest city in Idaho. Two other recent high-profile Idaho cases, the murder trials of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, were similarly moved to Boise. And they probably were moved to Boise because they have the resources. They have the experience, they have the staff, they are prepared to handle a larger scale case with multiple witnesses. You have to plan all of the case out. Who's going to testify? What day? How long is a testimony? You have to afford the other opposing side to cross-examine. So this is something that's going to have to be worked out, and you have to have administration set in place to do it all. So we will see. We will see where it heads and how things move forward. So again, I have those 3 videos coming up about the Idaho 4. You can look forward to that coming up fairly soon. And we'll see where this goes now. I think it's going to Boise. I think it's a good idea. I think they can handle the case with very, very little issues because they've handled other large cases that were televised. So we will see. So thank you for spending this time with me. Please remember, stay smart, stay safe, stay savvy, be well, all my friends. Bye, everybody. Good night.